to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
Battle between RZA and DJ Premier. Now, I'll give my opening thoughts on it. This was a heavyweight. If you are a thorough hip hop head, you love 90s and you love 90s hip hop, this battle is right up your alley because you're getting all that plus more. I think they were on. I think I got through all 20 tracks of the battle. If we went just by the 20 tracks separately, in my personal opinion, I think Premier won.
I think so too.
But it was close. Like, it was very close. I think Premier got him by like an inch.
I think so too. I would say that DJ Premier won as well, but I feel like we need like a mediator to come in because I feel like RZA kind of wasn't. He played like the whole song, whereas DJ Premier was playing like snippets. I'm like, wait, like are you cheating? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. I think we should have a mediator in these battles.
Yeah, I think, and the beauty of this is right now we're looking at the verse. We're looking at the idea of Verzuz as it's in its early stages, and it hasn't been finessed or produced well done yet. It's something that it's in its raw form as of right now. You know what I'm saying? I think coming up, because now, and I don't want to get ahead of the topics here, but I know we got Babyface and Teddy Riley coming up. I think that battle is going to have some more, well, hey, you can only play your songs for this allotted time, and then let the other person go. But I think with this one, I think it was just this was like they were in the alley and they were just having fun, and it was like it was like the 90s throwback party, like in some borough in New York somewhere.
Yes.
Like, that's what it felt like. And it felt like it had that big fight feel, but everybody got along at the same time. Like,
you wanted to put your Timbs on when you listen to this. Yeah.
Right. Like, this is like even in just the aroma, just the boom bap, and just the different, even RZA using some of the Wu-Tang Clan tracks that he produced and stuff of that nature, and because he has that anime old school like martial art movie type of influence on his stuff. So seeing that and then seeing Premier doing what he does best, and then having them go back and forth, it felt like we was under the Brooklyn Bridge and we were just watching these people just go at it. It had a big fight feel. It's like you felt like you could feel the bonfire, the dogs barking, you're around New York City, but it was like everybody was getting along. Yeah. It was like the weirdest thing.
You could see the levels of respect, though. You could see the true admiration for one another's music through this battle, which I appreciated, that you can see that they truly took time to think about the songs that they were going to play, especially DJ Premier. I feel like he took time, sometimes too long, to figure out what song he was going to play. But I think that they also need to, I think the Teddy Riley battle or verse one another will be a little bit more refined. And I think it should be, because one of the things that I noticed when you look at all the people that are in the group, of course, they're all hip hop heads, but they're listening to the lyrics. So I'm like, are you listening to the lyric?
Or is it the beat?
Are you listening to the beat? Because they produce the music, not necessarily the bars. Because I feel like that's where a lot of people were giving it to RZA, but I feel like they were giving it to RZA because of the bars, not the beat.
Right.
So I don't know. I think we need a mediator in order to be able to do that, because like I said, I would give it to DJ Premier. I think just the catalog of music he just has more outside music. So it's going to have a different sound. Whereas, I mean, of course it always has his signature sound, but it's going to have a little bit of a different sound, where I feel like RZA kind of gave us a lot of that Wu-Tang, and they have a signature sound. So it's kind of like very, very similar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not going to say, because he's hella talented. RZA is hella talented. But when it comes to this particular battle, I think even before, if you don't even listen to the songs that they put up against one another, I'm going to have to say that even just listening to the music, just in general, Premier won already.
Oh, yeah. I think now, overtime, I heard some of the stuff that RZA was playing. I'm like, why didn't you play that in the 20 songs?
Right.
Like, you should, like, if he played what he played in overtime, like just when he was just playing tracks, I'm like, yo, if you would have done this, you probably would have won.
See, and I don't know. See, to me, I feel like DJ Premier's, just his catalog, just in general, is better.
Right.
Just to me. It just, but I do feel like there was some miscalculations on both their parts, because there were times where it was like, why would you play this up against that? Like, I don't think he played Cream until they were in overtime. And I'm like, why was that not one of the songs?
I think that was the last track he played. I think the last track he played of the 20 was Cream, which it makes sense because that's the knockout blow. That's what that's like, everybody knows Cream. Your 5-year-old son knows Cream. You know what I'm saying?
Like, why would you not play this? Like, I mean, sooner, to me. Right. And then it was a lot of people like, well, why didn't Premier play Annie Up? And I was like, well, he didn't produce that, so he can't play it because he didn't produce it. So I think DJ Premier won. Just his catalog alone, I just think he won. That's just me.
I would give it to him too. The thing about that I like about this is that every one of these battles, it's like it just takes a step up and step up and step up, and it keeps getting more competitive.
This was a good match, though.
A very good match. A very good match. Like, this is probably the best match that I've seen. Like, skill wise, style wise, it just matches up really well. And I kind of wanted to shine light on some of the other IG battle of the past too. The first one that I wanted to kind of shine on that was interesting. It wasn't as close as RZA and DJ Premier, in my opinion, was Scott Storch versus Mannie Fresh. Mm-hmm. From my personal opinion, looking back on that battle, I felt like Scott Storch is a musician that knows how to make hip hop beats. Mm-hmm. Mannie Fresh knows how to make hip hop beats, but he's not skilled in the musician bag as much as Scott is. Mm-hmm. And Mannie, to me, only has one sound. I may catch heat for saying it, but it's like that Southern hip hop where Scott Storch seems like to have, like, he can go pop, he can go R&B, he can go give you the hip hop thorough record, and then he can mix the two or mix the three. You know, it seems like there's more variety with his stuff than Mannie did. Agreed.
I mean, but that's who Mannie is. So that's why when a lot of people set these verses or battles up, I don't understand how they're actually making the comparison. Like, is it someone that's saying, well, hey, I think you guys should be coupled together? Because if you look at, like, the catalog, like, if I put Mannie Fresh up against somebody, you're right, it would have to be a Southern producer that kind of was in a camp, maybe like somebody in the No Limit camp, and Mannie Fresh would make more sense to me. Right. Just personally,
it's got to be somebody from that. It's got to be somebody similar to his bag to make it more of a competitive competition.
Right. Like, you can't really, like, put him up against anybody else because it just doesn't work. And I think that's where you get a lot of these battles where you're like, huh? Why would you even do that? Because I think there's a French Montana and there's a Tory Lanez battle coming, which I don't know if I would put those two together. I mean, they are the kings of remix.
So I'll have a hot take about this, and I'll give it right back to you. I personally think, outside of the hits, I feel like French Montana is one of the most underwhelming rappers I've ever heard in the last 10 years. Tory Lanez, I think, from a song standpoint, from a production standpoint, would get him up out of here. And I'm not even going to talk about Tory Lanez hits. I'm just talking about his music in general. Anything from the Chick tapes is getting anything that French Montana puts up out of here. Now, if he puts on Shot Caller, like Tory's got to sit down. If he puts on I Ain't Worried About Nothing, Tory's got to sit down. But once the hits are gone, and you talking about 20 tracks back to back, Tory's getting them up out of here.
Yeah, but I think that's also the issue with this battle, because a lot of the songs that Tory, they're like remixes of remixes. Yeah. To me, like, so I don't know, who do you give that weight to Tory for remixing a remix that somebody already produced, or are you going to give it to French, who has more of that originality, I would say, than Tory? Like, I probably get a lot of shit for this. I'm sorry. Can you curse on it?
You can curse on it. You can curse on it.
Okay. Just making sure, because sometimes I'll let a couple loose. Well, I curse in general. Let me stop. But that, to me, I think that in that way, you got to give it to French because of the originality. What is the battle about? Is it about the biggest hits? Is it about the most unique sound, or is it about the originality?
So it depends on the category. If we're talking about they're just having a battle, who music's better, like from a quality standpoint, and something that can bump, Tory's taking it. If it's lyricism, if it's hits, so that's one category. If it's hits, I think Tory might take it by a close margin.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm saying that is, well, hold on, I'm thinking about it. If it's about pop hits and sonic hits and commercial records, French might take that. Now that I'm thinking about it, French might take that, because I forgot about Unforgettable, and if he plays Unforgettable, it's a wrap. I forgot about that. So if it's about that, French is getting that. But if it's about anything else, if it's lyricism, Tory's taking it. French Montana's lyrics are, there's nothing about, I've never heard somebody say, good grief, French bodied that verse.
Right.
I've never heard that. So if it's verses back to back, Tory's taking that. If it's about who had the best, like, club record, we ain't talking about commercial, we talking about club indie record, I think Tory's taking that too. Okay. Unless French puts out a track that features Chinks on it.
Okay. I think that French Montana, from a popularity standpoint, I think that he has bigger bangers. I think Tory is getting there because he's like on fire right now. But to me, I'm just not a big fan of, even though I know they've been doing that for years in the 90s, but I'm just not a big fan of people that take whole songs
and sample everything.
Yes. And I'm like, this is literally, this is Usher's song. Like, that's why I like it. It's not because you're on it. This is Usher's song. I've always liked this song. Those are the types of things that I'm like, I don't know. Like, can you use those songs in a versus, in a battle? Do they count?
It depends on the rules. If it depends on the situation of, okay, do remixes count in here? If we're doing sample tracks, how far does that go? See, all these rules need to be discussed. If they're gonna battle, what are they battling for? Because I'm telling you, if it's about anything else, if it's about lyricism, French is not lasting long in this battle. Okay, if it's about other stuff, French definitely has a chance to win because he's been around longer on a commercial standpoint. He's been around longer commercially than Tory has. But especially, I think that what is going to make Tory win, possibly if he has something that isn't released yet. Okay. That could be the next great hot summer record. If he has a Drake record, which wouldn't surprise me. If he has a Rihanna record, which wouldn't surprise me. If he has something like that, if he has like a sneaky surprise attack, like a left hook that you don't see in a battle, then now it's getting interesting. Because now we looking at French like, okay, he just released something that's unreleased. What do you have? Right. You know what I mean? So in my mind, I'm just kind of going back and forth and trying to figure out, in this scenario, what would happen here? And that's the beauty about this.
True. That's true. I mean, I guess it's a little bit of that with the Lil Jon versus T-Pain.
Oh, yes,
well.
absolutely.
Which, to me, I would give it to... I don't even... To me, T-Pain doesn't have enough music to me to go up against Lil Jon. I like T-Pain and I like T-Pain's music, but this is Lil Jon.
Right.
It's the same. Well, I mean, both of their sounds are repetitive. I mean, you're going to get the same sound no matter what, but I would have to give it to Lil Jon. Lil Jon, sorry. Lil.
Yeah, so in my personal opinion, I gave it to, and I do respect where you're coming from with why you think Lil Jon won. I think T-Pain won for this reason. T-Pain vocally is out of this world. The melodies is crazy. You mix melodies with his production. Hold on. I know people are going to frown on the auto-tune though. But when his songs were coming out, the only people that complained about them were the people that weren't doing it. Nobody complained in the club when Buy Me a Drink was on, when I'm Sprung was on, when Bartender was on. You know what I'm saying? Nobody complained about these things.
Right.
So the only time people complained about it is when Jay-Z came out with Death of Auto-Tune, and then because it was Jay-Z, then everybody wanted to be rebel against it. Yeah. On the bandwagon. So, because it was Jay speaking out. And when Jay speaks out, people listen. So, when you think about how talented he is vocally and what he can do with his voice, we ain't even talking about the lyric. We just talking about the beat he can produce. Mm-hmm. Lil Jon is not vocally gifted, but what he's good at is adding a sense of hype and catchphrases to make the song bump and go even further.
True. I mean, yeah.
So I mean, and look, I could be ticking off a lot of people saying this. I'm just giving my honest opinion. I'm a see in my brain a good beat. If you're able to use your voice as not only a vocal but also a beat, I have to give you points for that. And also what T-Pain did was he turned around and he was the only person that I know that turned around and did almost like the transition. He had some of the craziest transitions into the song he was about to play I've ever heard throughout these series of these battles. Mm-hmm. Like him taking stuff and remixing it. And I have to I'll probably go back and just watch him just literally take something, remix it, like take a familiar beat, remix it, have it transition into the song that he wants to play to go battle Lil Jon. It was crazy to me. He is a thorough surgeon when it comes to producing. He's a thorough surgeon. I'm not taking it anywhere from Lil Jon. Lil Jon's the king of crunk, hands down. He created a whole genre. Let's not look over the legacy of Lil Jon at all. I'm just mainly talking about this battle, and I'm saying when you could turn around and play the keys, you can use your voice as a beat, but you can also deliver on vocals. Because I know there's some songs back in the day when I was growing up, heads would skip a whole song just to get to the T-Pain verse because it was the most hyped verse and the singing part to sing along. I did it. I'm guilty. I did it. You know what I'm saying? I did it. So, it's one of those situations that, don't get me wrong, it was close.
Okay.
It was mad close. He played Shorty in OT. I thought he was gonna play it in his 20 songs. So I was kind of shocked about that.
Didn't he duplicate one though? I thought he duplicated something, but maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
But I would say the reason why I give it to Lil Jon is because Jon.
1 second though. Can we have you be more centered?
It's
just no problem. All right, now you go ahead.
So with Lil Jon, I just feel like Lil Jon won this simply because of the catalog. And when you put Yeah in there, like the hits that, yes, like I'm in love with a stripper. I sing that song. I love this song.
Right.
I sing all of T-Pain songs. Is anybody who sing T-Pain song, you feel like you can sing because, the auto-tune sound. But when you look at the things that Lil Jon has done, oh my gosh. I don't know, especially when you're looking at the bangers, the hits of it.
Did he even play Yeah in his 20? I don't think he played Yeah in his 20. That's the shocking part. Lil Jon did not play Yeah in his 20. I was shocked by that.
Did he?
I remember.
No, I think it was in the 20. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was in the 20.
Okay. I may be wrong, but I don't, because that's the crazy part. I don't remember hearing it. I was like, yo, Lil Jon got hits, but he didn't even play Yeah. If he had played Yeah in the 20, I would have been like, all right, here come the knockout blow. I'm worried for T-Pain now.
Yeah, because that Yeah was the biggest song in 2004.
Yeah, easily.
It continued on in 2005. That song changed the game. So I would say just by looking at his repertoire, Lil Jon won hands down. Now, I will say that that's a good matchup, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
The rest of them kind of sucked, but that's besides DJ, of course, Premier and RZA. That was a great one. And if you like hip hop, that was hip hop. Like that definitely was hip hop. That and the Lil Jon T-Pain was a really good matchup to me. The rest of them were kind of like a little,
yeah, the rest of them were kind of like, I don't really like it. This ain't must see TV for me.
Yeah, but I'm excited about the babyface Teddy Riley. I was just shocked that about a lot of the younger people were saying that they kind of counting babyface out, which to me is hilarious.
I think people really are. I think when people see this battle, I think it's gonna make people wake up and realize, like, dang, Babyface really put some hits together. Babyface really put some hits together, and I just forgot. Like, people really sleep on Babyface, and because he's so quiet and humble and doesn't come out and say much, and he's kind of from that old generation that is like older generation, more mature generation, that, it's kind of this mystique to him. He was a pillar in R&B, but you don't know what he necessarily had his hands on. Right. To most generations now, to my mother's generation and older, it's like, I could tell you every song he knows. Right. You know what I mean? So it's one of those situations where I think millennials are going to be reminded and also be shocked as to what he had his hands in.
Yeah, because honestly, I think it's a good matchup, but I think it's going to be a blowout. Because, like you said, I don't think people realize what Babyface had his hand on. It's more than Whip Appeal. Like, I love Whip Appeal, but he's more than just Whip Appeal. Like, he's written for so many people. He's produced so many songs that no one knows about. Didn't he do Waiting to Exhale soundtrack?
Mm-hmm. He had his hand in that.
Like, that was... Listen, if you grew up in the 90s and you had a black mother, you was listening to that.
That was in rotation. Waiting to Exhale played at my mother's house several times on repeat.
Yes.
Especially in the 90s. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And if it came on, it's one of them things, if it's on, you don't turn it off till it's over.
Right. Yeah. Amazing movie, but the songs in it? Fire.
The soundtrack, the whole sound, it's one of the hottest soundtracks I've heard. Easy.
Fire.